Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is Sri Rag. Tohi Mohi Mohi Tohi Antar Kaisa, Kanak Katak Jal Tarang Jaisa, Jo pe hum na paap karanta, ahe ananta, patit pavan naam kaise hunta rahao. तुम जो नायक आछो अंतर जामी, प्रभ ते जन जानी जय, जन ते स्वामी, शरीर आराध्य मुको विचार देहो, रविदास समदल समझावे को. This is an untitled verse by Bhagat Ravidas, in that it doesn't indicate his name on the header. The header reads Sri Rag. But this is the concluding composition in the Sri Rag Ki Var section of Sri Rag, which we complete today. Sri Rag spans 80 pages from page 14 to 94 of the Guru Granth Sahib. And it is only fitting that the final verse that we are considering should indeed capture the essence of asking the question, essentially, the fundamental existential question of who we are and what we are. And so we've noticed that one of the major strands that runs through Sri Rag and indeed the rest of Gurbani is Haume, of the I self, the sense of I that we normally experience. So the question is this self real or is it not? And this question has bedeviled inquiry right from the very beginning and continues to occupy modern psychology as well. So it is not at all surprising that Haume is central to Gurmat. And we know from our reading of Gurbani so far that in Gurmat, Haume is a form of hallucination, and it is the source of all our troubles. At best, it is a temporary device to execute a temporary role that we have. We find that today, neuroscientists, psychologists, cognitive scientists seem to concur with Gurbani and are framing the sense of the self as nothing more than a social abstraction, a construction of the social brain that forms primarily after birth and is rooted in memory. And this indeed is a kind of an illusion that we have. So Bhagat Ravidas is really, in the context of Gurbani, instructing us to overcome this blind spot that we all have and recognize ourselves for who we truly are. And that is what he captures in the first lines of this passage. Tohi Mohi Mohi Tohi Antar Kaisa. He's saying, you are me, I'm you. What is the difference? And he expands on this. Kanak Katak Jal Tarang Jaisa, like a chip of gold, a wave of water. What we are being asked to do is to recognize that we are unique and individual reflections of the universe, each one of us. Just like a wave is to water and a piece of jewelry is to gold. And in this passage, Ravidas touches on sin, paap karanta. Well, the sin in Gurmat is to see the world through the lens of Haume. That is the sin. That is missing the mark. And looking to the world through the lens of Haume means duality. The duality of subject and object, where the self becomes the subject, the center of the universe, and the world is the object that it is resting its observation on. And this becomes our habitual, ordinary consciousness. And it's, as mentioned, formed through a process of socialization and acculturation. Gurbani is teaching us to see the world from another perspective that we also call hukam. Hukam is an empowering awareness of the whole, where the distinction, the subject-object distinction dissolves, where we do not project our conditioning on, but see reality with fresh eyes for what it is. And the key to this transformation is to develop the capacity to suspend our assumptions. But more than that, once you suspend your assumptions, you begin to develop the capacity to redirect the awareness of the mind to the source, the self, which lies behind what we see through Haume. And Ravidas here calls it the leader, the Nayak, the master. Tum Nayak Asha. Tum Nayak Asha Antarjami. You are my leader. So that is a suggestion that is where we should be looking at the world. Those are the eyes with which we should look at the world. Prabhte jan jane, jai jan te swami. So you are identified by the kind of thought, knowledge that you carry, even though here the example is by knowing the master, you know the servant, and the servant is identified by the master, and the master is identified by the servant. But the point being that you are known by the kind of intellect or the kind of thought or the kind of wisdom that is driving you. And what Ravidas is telling us through Gurbani is that the intellect must become the servant of intuitive awareness, which is the backdrop of everything. In this way, we will begin to see the interconnectedness of everything. Ravidas samandala samjave ko. So rare is the one who understands this, but the invitation is out to everyone to do it, to expand your consciousness. With those thoughts, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.